Hi Sophie, thank you for taking the time to sit with us.
No worries, Callum, it's great to be here.
Firstly, can you explain to us what is the QUT Music Society and what does it do?
Yes, so the QUT Music Society is it aims to bring together musicians from all around QUT, regardless of their culture or their discipline, to build a sense of community and culture at QUT, and kind of hope to do this through opportunities for students to rehearse together and perform together in different situations on campus and off campus sometimes as well.
Okay. Can you take us back to when there was no QUT Music Society and what inspired the start-up of it, or how the Music Society was founded? Can you take us back to when there was no QUT Music Society and what inspired the start-up of it, or how the Music Society was founded?
So the Music Society started with an idea. There was a couple of students and they went looking for a music society and they couldn't find anything. So they went to the student support services and asked about how you might set up a music society such as this. And they applied for some funding and they got it. And so then they put out a few emails in the registrar's newsletter and things and said, who is interested in a music society and getting one started at QUT. They held their first meeting in November last year and there was about 30 to 40 musicians that turned up. None of these musicians were actually from the music department. They were all musicians that were studying law or science or health, and they played music at school and they wanted to get back into it again. So that was kind of the basis of what the Music Society started to become. The first mission of this group was to get the word out to the QUT community that the Music Society was forming and that it was starting to be a thing at QUT. So they had a few meetings over November and over the Christmas holidays, and what they decided to do was incredible. They decided to put together Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, which is just an epic musical masterpiece that is just one of the most challenging pieces you can ever learn and perform. And they got this together over the Christmas holidays to perform at the orientation welcome party. They flash mobbed 1,000 students standing in the pouring rain with the Deep Blue Orchestra and performed this piece, and the word got out, and since then we had about 400 to 500 people sign up to the QUT Music Society over the last, it's not even been a year yet. And from those 35 musicians, we've now started forming lots of different groups. So we've started forming a community choir called Vox Pop, and an indie chamber orchestra called the Indie Chamber Orchestra, the Blackbirds Jazz Ensemble, and we also have a community of bands which is just growing and growing.
In starting out, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced and how did you manage to overcome them? In starting out, what were the biggest challenges you faced and how did you manage to overcome them?
The biggest challenge still today is space. We are currently rehearsing in the space here, which is a converted office space, and because it's an office during the week, we're only able to use it on the weekends, so our rehearsals are all on Sundays in the afternoons here, and we manage to cram up to 40 musicians sometimes into one space, which is pretty awesome, but it is a challenge to find a home for the QUT Music Society.
Yeah.
Okay.
In starting out, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced and how did you manage to overcome them?
I think one of our biggest challenges, and it still is where finding a place for the QUT Music Society to live. Currently we are in a converted office space at Gardens Point, and because it's an office space, we can't actually use it during the week, so we've only got it on the weekends. So most of our ensembles rehearse on Sundays. Finding a place for the QUT Music Society to permanently store all of our guitars and equipment, and we've got an asset grant to buy a whole lot of equipment, so it's always going to be a challenge for us, I think, but hopefully one day it will be more of an integrated part of what QUT does, so we'll have a space.
What has been the highlight of the Music Society today, or you say that has been the society's greatest achievement?
I'd have to say that the highlight was definitely that first performance we ever did with Bohemian Rhapsody and the 35 musicians that just got together. We only had, considering the size and complexity of the piece, there wasn't that many rehearsals for it, and they pulled it off, and it was awesome experience to have them flash mobbing those 1,000 students there that literally were standing there in the pouring rain. It's never been so wet at a live music event, I don't think, because it was just insane. But I mean, the other thing is just the growth of the Music Society since then. It's just started from this small group of musicians and become this massive society with all different orchestras and bands and choirs, which is an incredible thing.
The Music Society has come a long way in the university. Has any of the success that the Music Society encountered taken you by surprise? The Music Society has come a long way at the university. Has any of the success that the Music Society has encountered taken you by surprise?
Definitely. I mean, the amount of students that are involved has taken me by surprise. And I mean, I hope that it still keeps growing. It's amazing. But we have on our database 400 musicians that want to be involved in things, and regularly we have probably about 60 musicians coming weekly for different rehearsals and that sort of thing. And we've got a really great team, an executive team that meets and to plan projects and form ideas and creative development and all that sort of stuff. And the level of enthusiasm for the society has definitely taken me by surprise. Yeah.
Yep. What advice would you give young musicians out there who are trying to make a name for themselves but don't have the necessary funds or opportunities? What would you give young musicians out there who are trying to make a name for themselves but don't necessarily have funds or opportunities?
I would say just get out there as much as you can. Getting that performance experience under your belt is a really important thing, and just really getting out there and performing and enjoying what you do. There's a lot of funding out there that support creative ideas and music projects, and just applying for it, because there's not enough people applying for it, and there's a lot of bands out there, so just do it.
Yep. Where do you see QUT Music Society 5 years from now? See the QUT Music Society 5 years from now?
I hope that in 5 years' time, the QUT Music Society can be a really integrated part of what QUT offers students. Just like the way that sport is offered to students, I think that the Music Society is a real asset to what QUT can offer. One of the biggest stories that has come out of the QUT Music Society is that students are learning the violin or the trumpet or the guitar or saxophone all throughout their school careers, and then they get to uni and there's not really an option to continue that learning. And by bringing these students together to continue that learning and that creative process, we can also help to contribute to a really creative and vibrant campus life here at QUT as well. So it's got a lot of benefits there.
Yep. Where do you see QUT Music Society 5 years from now? Where do you see the QUT Music Society 5 years from now?
I hope to see it as a really integrated part of what QUT offers students, just like the way that sport is a big part of what QUT does. I'd like to see that there is a music society that can offer students that, maybe they've been studying the violin or the trumpet or the guitar all through high school, and then they get to uni and want to study law or business or health, and but they want to keep that music going in their lives. And that's been one of the biggest stories that we've heard with the QUT Music Society, is that they just want to keep playing, even though they might not want a career as such in music, but they do want to have that as part of their life. And so I think that if QUT could offer that sort of program to students, it would not only contribute to that goal, but also creating a really vibrant musical campus culture that has a really great community and network. And
So out of all of the good things that come out of the QUT Music Society, what do you love most about it? All the good things that come out of the QUT Music Society, what do you love most about being a part of it?
That is a really hard question, because there are so many things that I love about being involved with the QUT Music Society. I think probably one of the things that I love most is that it really does build bridges between maybe people that never would have met before. So people in science and people in music and people in creative industries or business really coming together and working on a project that is really creative and interesting and gets them thinking about, maybe issues that they wouldn't be thinking about and talking about things that they wouldn't be talking about usually, and bringing that all together and then putting on a performance that is it's your performance and you're really owning it, and it's a really awesome opportunity, I think, for just on a personal level to be able to do that sort of thing, and it does contribute to, the greater, your learning at QUT and your studies, and having that creative outlet is a really important part of life, and yeah. The QUT Music Society, otherwise known as QMuso, is a network of students working to bring together musicians from all around QUT, regardless of what you're studying. We want to build a greater sense of campus vibrancy and community. From playing the African nose flute to performing in an established band, QUT Music Society is for you.